So as you've seen in past episodes of American Artifact, the Gettysburg Museum of History is a constantly evolving animal. There are all kinds of new artifacts that are arriving at the museum all the time. And unfortunately, I'm not here for all of the unboxing of them. So we've added a new element to the American Artifact series that we're calling What's New at the Gettysburg Museum of History. So we're going to dodge into the new annex and take a look at a few of the items that have recently arrived here at the museum.
We're back in my office at the new Gettysburg Museum of History Annex, and we're going to tease you again with a few new items that just came into the museum. And we're currently renovating this building, and we're trying to get things underway for a new big expansion program. But for now, I want to just show you a couple items that came in. They're not on display yet, and they're really interesting. So we just grabbed a few random items, kind of doing a real variety here. I'm going to start with this. This is a porcelain bowl, and what's interesting about this is this came from Adolf Hitler's tea house, and this is the smaller tea house that was near the Berghof, not the Eagle's Nest tea house. And there are fragments of this around. That was captured in 1945, and the French 2nd Armored seemed to go in there and kind of trash everything. But this piece was taken by a local. Some of the locals got in there after the air raid bombing there and took some items. This is one of the only complete pieces I have ever seen. And it came from a collection over there. The guy wrote some books and was in contact with a lot of the locals and actually mapped some of the tunnels. And there's some really interesting photographs. Has a really nice provenance file showing the tea house and the plans there. And they're talking, this says about some of the films that Eva Braun done were filmed there. Shows some of the excavation, and this is the item. There's a picture of it here, but a much better photograph of it over here, showing an overall spread of how they would set the tables, but this is supposedly that piece right there. Again, a very interesting artifact. Not much of that has survived. I'm going to give you a pro tip. If you ever decide to go there, you can go to the site. If you go up to the Obersalzberg mountain, Hitler would go to the tea house. He would take a walk there. So he would go from the Berghof site and walk down to the tea house for some exercise. And it's a fairly easy walk. It's downhill. But remember, if you ever decide to do it, because it's only accessible from certain areas, you have to walk back up. Now, Hitler would have his Mercedes come down and pick him up and take him back to the Berghof. But if you ever walk down there, you have to walk up yourself. And I'll tell you, I did it once, and it was quite a walk, and it's uphill. It's like literally you walk up a mountain. So I was pretty tired, so make sure you're in good shape if you decide to make that walk. I recently talked to a friend of mine who's airborne paratrooper guy, and he said he just did it, and he said he almost fell over because he was winded and everything. But anyway, that's just like a lot of people want to visit that site, but just be aware that you have to walk back up that mountain if you decide to visit that site. We're going to move on to another very unique World War II German war trophy, and that is this tapestry. And this was taken by an American soldier, and it has the patterns in it, and it came from one of the railway stations, and it's really a good high quality piece of textile. And what's really unique about it, what I really like about it, is it has photos of the soldier holding it, which just makes it really, really interesting to me. And we have his photo album. I'm going to just set this down for a second. We have his photo album, but there's also a nice photo here. His name was Martin Connors, and he was in the 814th Tank Destroyer Battalion. And he was quite a photographer. He took a lot of photographs, and we have his photo album as well. And this is one of the pages out of it. And we got it like this because these were the photos of him holding the tapestry. But I want to show you a couple of photos in here. He took a lot of photos during the occupational period. He seemed to enjoy the company of females, like a lot of soldiers did. But I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but there's just amazing photos in here from the occupation and his buddies and everything, and just a really great document. But yeah, I've never seen that particular tapestry before. This was offered to me by another collector, and we jumped at the chance to get it. Very interesting.
I want to take a closer look at a few of these pictures and a few other things in the photo album. So here on this page, you can see, again, this is the veteran with the tapestry. And I'm liking the top hat that he also is sporting there. And here it says, displaying my Nazi flag with an interpretation of Hitler. And if you look closely, you can see he's got his finger under his nose doing like the Hitler mustache. So again, when we see these items back in the United States, like Nazi flags and tapestries and daggers and helmets and things like that, that is a symbol of American victory. These guys brought these things home and were proud of them. So again, when you see these things, it's not necessarily an advocation of the ideology. We think people who do that are absolute clowns. Again, this is a sign of Allied victory. And something else that I wanted to show from the album, here, when you go through this whole thing, it's an incredible photographic record of where this man went. Like, everything is really labeled well. Here's a map of Wiesbaden and Frankfurt, Germany, so it shows some of the places where he was. And here are a few other little souvenir items that he brought back. Here are some German postcards. The one on the left, of course, showing a German soldier. This one showing a German tank destroyer. And then he has a few from his training at Camp Bowie and Brownwood, Texas. But yeah, this is absolutely a phenomenal photo album that could probably spend a good couple of hours looking at. Now, a few other World War II related items that we have out here. Here we see some boxes for K rations for breakfast, dinner, and supper. Not breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which I find interesting. It's kind of funny to me, who knows how many of these things got just discarded and thrown away. They were just absolute trash. And now, 80 years later, I mean, it's something that's highly fascinating for us. So there would be cigarettes in there, and maybe a piece of candy, and different breakfast items or lunch or dinner items. And then another thing that we're really big on here are signs. So here's a sign for the Office Division Quartermaster. And as you can see from the insignia there, this was for the 29th Infantry Division. So yeah, a couple other World War II items that have come into the museum recently. And I've got one more that we're going to take a look at from a different American conflict.
This is an American campaign hat from the Spanish-American War. You may notice there's writing all over it, and it's because the soldier decided to decorate his hat. Really interesting to me. Again, it's kind of like, you know, we've seen before some of the decorated helmets and some of the soldiers' art, but he put some slogans from the time on here, such as "To Cuba, we will go," and "We want to go home," and "War is hell," and it says "Rough House" here. And inside there's a few as well. "When Johnny Comes Marching Home," which was from a popular song from the 19th century, and has his unit on here. It's got the infantry cross rifles, 3, and it's either an H or a K. I believe it's an H. I assume that would mean 3rd Regiment, H Company. But very interesting, decorated Spanish-American War campaign hats. And, you know, Civil War cloth headgear, and even up to the Spanish-American War headgear is fairly rare. You know, a lot of it has deteriorated and been eaten by moths, and this definitely has some condition issues, but it has survived, and it's just a really interesting piece. And again, we just got this at the museum. We're going to be interpreting all the American wars at the new museum and have a little bit from everything. So we want to have everything represented, and I thought this was a really great representation of a very interesting Spanish-American War campaign hat.
All right, well, there you go. Those are just a few of the newer items here at the Gettysburg Museum of History from some different conflicts in American history. All kinds of stuff that is constantly coming in here. So the next time you're in Gettysburg, come and check it out. But until then, hey, we'll keep cranking out these artifacts right here on American Artifact.